Hey friends. So I was just doing my morning yoga warm-up routine and reflecting a bit on just my time here in Michigan so far. Really just not even quite 2 days at this point. But a really intense, intense isn't the word I want to use, but full contact with Annalise, let's say. I'm here with my daughter, and this is our time. This is a time for us. And I made her a promise at the beginning of the trip that I would be really gentle with her. And I told her that explicitly because I felt like it would be good for her to hear, and it would be good for me to say. And by and large, I'm gentle with her anyway. I mean, she already has cracked open my heart so unbelievably since she was born. And I feel like she's taught me gentleness in a way that I'd never really felt before. There's a kind of tenderness in me when I think about her and when I look at her and interact with her. That's really, it's beautiful, and it's really just an incredible experience. But I also know that I can be kind of hard, or I can, I can be. I often in our household, I play a role along with Katie, and I'd say maybe I play even slightly a bigger role in this, although it's a collaborative job, but in imposing boundaries, in holding boundaries. And I know I've spoken about this before, about how one of the things I've learned is that in creating boundaries and in teaching boundaries to a child, it's almost like I've developed a way of being conscious of boundaries in a more subtle way than before, where it's not just that it matters that the boundary is here, it's that we want to know how close to it we're getting so that when we hit the boundary, we're not surprised by the fact that, whoa, there's a boundary there. If the boundaries kind of come out of the blue, it can be disconcerting, and it can create it can create more friction and more difficulty around maintaining that boundary than otherwise. But anyway, all that is to say, my role in that, and what I've learned so far as a parent in that, is a kind of firmness. And then I reflect on my own experience and the way that I teach myself, and the way that I talk to myself, and the way that I, even something like the phase I'm in now, where I'm looking at potentially making a change to the way I work. How do I construe that for myself? And I would say there's a predominance of firmness. There's a predominance of, you've gotta do this. You have to be able to maintain this. You have to, you know, there's a fair amount of that voice. And so, and I do notice that coming out with Annalise. I do see that coming out here and there. I mean, I wouldn't even say I see it here and there. I see it as a part of my makeup in my relationship to my child. And she doesn't do so great with it. She doesn't love it. So what I've had to find is, but on the other hand, oh my God, a toddler will, she's not even really a toddler anymore. She's like a kid now, but she will take a boundary and flick it into the outer reaches of the solar system. She will just trample on a boundary on purpose while looking at you like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Just taunt a boundary constantly. And especially now that I'm up here on my own with her, I don't even know if she's doing this consciously. I suspect she's not, but I think she's almost testing boundaries with me to see how I'll respond and to kind of like map out her safety zone in the absence of mom being here. So I still have to impose boundaries. You know, I still have to draw the line, and I have to be firm, along with this hyper consciousness right now of that kind of, that voice of firmness in my own psyche, and the way that often manifests with her. So I'm really kind of looking at it all and trying to be as conscious as I can of what I'm doing, and when I impose a boundary, you know, the thing about, I remember this from being a kid, when a boundary is imposed, it's almost like a violation of our integrity as a little one. It certainly feels that way. And I heard that said at some point by I must have read it somewhere in a book on parenting, that, you know, for example, if like a child won't put on their shoes or won't do something, and you eventually, there comes a point when you have to do it for them, and you're in a way violating their integrity. Now, the fact is, we're all learning how our integrities bump up against and interact with other people's integrities. So, and as a toddler, or you know, we're not always aware of that. Those are lessons we're learning. But it highlights the fact that when we do that as a parent, there's a form of, I mean, trauma might be a strong word, but there's a form of violation, a form of pain that we're imposing. And as I go through this process now, I'm just quite aware of that. So I'm trying to lean into, I'm trying to figure out, okay, is this boundary, does it actually matter? Is this really, do I have to maintain it? Because ultimately, most of these boundaries are arbitrary. Some of them aren't, but a lot of them are. But that doesn't mean that they're not important. That doesn't mean that it's not still like, there's still something to be, they still kind of have to be non-negotiable. So the first question is it a boundary that I can move, or do I need to keep it where it is? Okay. If I need to keep it where it is, okay. Got to keep it where it is. Here we go. And then I assert that, and then the next question for me is, well, what leverage do I have? You know, and what can I say that will actually create the response I'm looking for? How will I convince her that she has to do this? Do I have to take something away? Do I have to threaten to take something away? Right? And then, as I watch her, and oftentimes leverage is the slippery part. That's the part where it's like, oh man, I'm clutching at straws here. I'm telling her that she can't go tubing tomorrow if she doesn't do this. I would hate that. I would hate to have to follow through with that. But maybe so I really hope she doesn't test me on this. Leverage is a tough one. And then, after I've, if I need to, again, sometimes this just happens, but if I need to then leverage the boundary, then I have to watch her sit with it. Then I have to watch her respond. And again, it's just her and her dad. She's, way far away from her mom. She's consciously keeping herself in a place of being okay with that, even though she does miss her mom. She's testing boundaries not because she wants to be bad or do anything, to hurt anybody or destroy anything. She's just testing boundaries because it's an expression of creating her safety in the world. So how firm do I have to remain? Can I come in? Can I impose the firmness and then come in with gentleness? Can I hold it all? Can I put a membrane of gentleness around it so she knows that's still there? It's such an unbelievable journey. It's such an unbelievable process. But as I do this with her, I'm also continuously reminded, continuously receiving the impression from my own psyche, oh, here's where I feel like I can't negotiate with that voice. Here's where the line is for me. Here's how that sounds. I'll say something or I'll do something and I'll immediately feel it in my own childhood psyche. And it helps me mitigate. It helps me think. I was never, as a child, I always knew when something felt like a violation. But you can't really say it. You can't articulate it, or you can say it, but you don't have any leverage as a kid. So it's just this incredible dance. I'm awestruck by the process. grateful beyond belief. So we have several days left, and we're having a lot of fun. I'll keep you posted. Thanks for watching, people. Much love. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you tomorrow.